Jared,
Yeah? What are you doing, man?
want to have tea and talk about things?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Great!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tea Time. I'm Alex,
And I'm Jared.
and we're not necessarily sure whether we're going to call this Tea Time or not. All right,
But I'm just going to fill you in on what kind of tea we're enjoying today. We're
yeah, that's
enjoying a all-natural tropical green tea. And it happens to be a guava ginseng tea from the Hawaiian Islands. It's quite delicious, very fruity. I put a little extra sugar in mine because it says that at night it likes to bring out that natural fruit flavor.
All right, what type of character are you playing here?
I'm just talking about the tea.
Cool. All right. Yeah, it's pretty good. If you hear any slurping, just like Jared's doing right now, please keep that to a minimum. That is what we are drinking. All right, thank you. Anyway, back to the actual discussion at hand. The 2017 Switch Presentation Conference, which just aired in Japan earlier tonight.
That was something.
Yeah, Jared was working. So I ended up watching the entirety of it fairly tentatively because I have been following the NX and Switch rumors pretty extensively, I'd say. And I don't know, I'm fairly reserved going into this. How about you, Jared? What were you thinking?
I also was following the Nintendo NX code name that they had given it, and I was really, really excited when I first heard about that project. I really liked the name NX. I thought it was really, really edgy, very mysterious. I'm pretty reserved about, the idea of the Nintendo Switch because I've, really had ups and downs with Nintendo products in the recent years. So we'll see. We will see how the Nintendo Switch turns out. I think the idea is pretty great, but we'll get into that.
Yeah,
we'll get into that
that'll come in time. Yeah, but as far as the Switch, you saw the thing they put up back in October.
Yeah, I saw the promotional video. That video where it showed the gentleman with the dog sitting in his living room playing the
That was Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild, thank you. And then it went all through the different modalities that you could use the Switch with.
And you guys can see that if you want to. Of course, that's just on Nintendo's thing. So you were saying that you were eager to see what they were going to present today?
I was eager to see the kind of route they were going to take presenting the Switch, because when I saw that video, I didn't expect the NX to turn into what the Switch is now. Okay. So to speak.
No, that makes sense. I feel that a lot of it was leaked for me personally, so it wasn't any big surprise.
Which in this era with gaming, with pretty much almost anything like this, it's pretty easy sometimes to, find semi-accurate or really accurate information online about products like this that come out and get really hyped up. And
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it helped the hype, but I already knew it. But going into this presentation that we're going to be talking about, I don't know, I have high hopes. I had high hopes. A couple things that I wanted to just note on just in the beginning here. Some rumors had suggested the price point at $250 US. They had also noted that it would come out on March 17th of 2017 this year. And a lot of other things that were actually true. First thing, they came out, price point, well, they actually came out saying it was the 3rd of March, which is actually really soon. Like a month and a half.
When I saw that date come up during the conference, I was like, oh my gosh, that's like in 5 seconds.
Yeah, literally. Just literally 5 seconds. But no, I mean, I'm looking forward to the date. The price point was increased, or is actually $300.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, I'm okay with. I'll
People
let
will pay
you,
it.
I'll let you answer this one because you're not necessarily planning on purchasing one anyway.
That is correct because I only purchased a Nintendo Wii. I got a Nintendo Wii for Christmas.
Oh, pleb.
The year it came out, and then I really only wanted the Nintendo Wii so I could play the Legend of Zelda franchise. And to be honest, I didn't get a Wii U because there wasn't necessarily an incentive for me to purchase that console, because when it comes to gaming, I think that Nintendo is a little more amateur and not so much more hardcore game.
Oh, so
You know what I mean?
would you say that they're amateur in their experience?
As a company,
Well, I'm poking fun at the fact that Nintendo is one of the older companies still producing games, but that aside,
right.
it's just the audience and the games they produce for that audience are not what you're looking for.
Correct.
Rad. All right, just getting that. So, do you think that's still the same with the Switch after seeing most of this presentation?
For me personally, I would only buy a Switch to play the Breath of the Wild
Okay.
on Switch, which I could buy a Wii U and play the Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, but that's probably going to be a bit more of a limited option
Yeah,
because,
that's true.
well, they're not production, and also it's probably not going to be as good a game.
That's true.
Frame rate issues,
like
etc.
the GameCube version of Twilight Princess
Exactly.
was not
Yeah.
as well received as the Wii version.
And here we're actually seeing a very similar thing with the death of the GameCube in comparison to the death of the Wii U. Hopefully, the Switch will actually be a fairly successful game, and then we'll see third party going to them, as well as, a brighter future than even the Wii, although I know the Wii did well, but it just wasn't what a lot of gamers were looking for.
See, and there's the issue that I have with it. Gamers looking for something in the Wii when it first came out.
Yeah.
The demographic that was targeted
Yeah,
necessarily wasn't for gamers. Like when you say a gamer, like the first thing that comes to mind is someone who maybe goes to tournaments and is in esports or something like that, or hardcore weekend romp gamer, so to speak, who wants to get in, people playing titles like Call of Duty, which I also am not really fond of, but those hardcore online kind of experiences.
See, there you reach a bit of a divisive statement, but I'm gonna try and get away from that for the time. How about we go back?
No. You asked me what you were talking about. Gamers. So to speak.
But when people have different concepts of gamers,
Well,
so
if you look up the dictionary definition of who a gamer is, it's just basically someone who plays video games, or someone who games. In the context we're talking about, it's video games,
yeah,
so to speak. But there's one thing you did say that I wanted to touch on a little bit before we move on. Was third party.
yeah. Well, this is actually that's going to be coming in our thoughts on the future. We'll dabble in that a little later. First of all, I just want to delve into the presentation.
The presentation itself.
Itself, just in a whole, what were your general thoughts about this presentation?
I thought it was very much Japanese Nintendo.
All right.
It was pretty traditional.
So are you? I felt similarly in the beginning, and I'll stray away from that. I have a screenshot right here. I'm just going to bring it up here. Some of the audience, they're feeling about what I was feeling when this laser light show was happening, and clearly they
With
are
the clicks and everything.
Yeah.
And I think they, as well, were maybe a little reserved.
Yeah, and
going
naturally so, noting how poor the Wii U was taken in general. However, I feel like later on they kind of reversed that. How do you say Nintendo-ism? Essentially, it was just how Nintendo does things.
It was just, when you see Nintendo release a console, they target their big hits when they're presenting something. Like, we have this new, Zelda title coming out. We got a new Mario title that's coming out, which we'll get into games, of course. But it just kind of, that is Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like their first party lineup, going in is like they bank on that.
Yeah, and
to succeed at first.
And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing at all. I'm just saying that it's classic Nintendo.
Yeah.
Nintendo is very much set in their ways, and they have always been, ever since the GameCube, it's been a different way of playing games. It's been a different way of enjoying a video game experience, and I really honestly commend them for that, because not a whole lot of people in the industry have done anything that it comes close to what Nintendo has done.
Well, yeah, but also note that the numbers just aren't there for Nintendo.
That's true.
Something that they have to rectify to most of their audience is that they are there for gaming. And I feel like this presentation kind of reversed some of that thought, that they are just amateur, and I use the term amateur for the audience. They are just making it for children. A lot of people think that these days, also, that they're just making games for first party. Because you could actually, Bethesda showed up, so that's always good.
Well, now, because with the HD 1080p software that they have in their systems, they can cater more to maybe a more diverse audience now.
Hopefully.
Because maybe you could play a AAA title, a third-party AAA title on the Nintendo Switch in a completely different way, and even a better way than you could play it on a Sony console or a Microsoft console, so to speak. Maybe. I'm just saying, maybe.
The specs aren't there yet. And that was actually one of the problems I had with the presentation. It did not, and of course this was for, kind of just to bring it out there, but it did not specify the hardware and the specifications that were there.
Now, why do you think I think in the past they have not done that.
No,
as well. In the Wii U, they did state that it would stream 1080p.
Yeah.
From titles, but I think that was just to kind of
backtrack on
it. Which it's kind of really, when you say that, with the specs, it's kind of almost history repeating itself, because look at Sony and look at Microsoft. They have Sony already released the PS4 Pro, which is some teraflop, like I don't even know what a teraflop is.
Cool.
But it's not like the PS4 Pro is already ahead of the Nintendo Switch now that's coming out.
Or if we were to believe the rumors, frankly, we're not sure. But there's a fair chance that it is, because Nintendo kind of does that type of thing. And this is not me saying that I'm going to dog it, whether it is or is not. Frankly, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be picking it up either way. In fact,
you like Nintendo, though.
Yeah, I do. I feel like, I like Smash Brothers, and that's probably my favorite game.
It's a great title.
It is, I know. You don't need to tell me. I know. But I think like they produce games that you can't find elsewhere, which is a problem between PC, console, or even between consoles. Eventually, it's going to come to the point where you can just play all the games on a PC, which essentially, at this point, you can.
If it's licensed by Sony or Microsoft, if Sony or Microsoft has anything to do with it, plus all of the independent game developers, it's probably been ported or is going to be ported to a PC platform.
Yeah, and that's just how it is. And I feel that Nintendo, if they wish to continue making hardware like they have been, it was a wise choice to decide to keep it proprietary onto their consoles. Now, as far as the Switch goes, I think they're going to require, like we were saying, the third party to really accept the physical hardware as well. Because that's pretty important. Because if third party can't get behind the physical hardware limitations, then there goes half of the games.
Yep.
Or in the case of the Wii U, almost all of the games. There were like
which
five games
then
out
comes
this
full
year.
circle back to Nintendo putting so much emphasis on their first party title games like Mario.
Yeah.
We saw in the presentation the Super Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
Which looked pretty interesting. Like you had said, they were trying to pay homage to the N64 title, Super Mario 64.
Yeah.
Maybe in the sense that you go to different worlds.
Well, and more in the gameplay style.
Yeah, right.
In that you have a not a fixed view, you have a diverse moveset, stuff like that. But yeah, no, just for a second, before we continue, I want to talk about the Switch's hardware and the play style, specifically with the Joy-Cons, or they're calling it. What do you think about that?
From a technological standpoint, I think it's genius.
Okay.
I think there's a very intuitive way to design a gaming experience with, they had stated like you can feel the
rumbling.
the rumbling, the HD rumble. That's really exciting.
Yeah, actually, we'll see how it pans out.
I'm still kind of apprehensive about it though, because for Nintendo's sake as a company, to survive in a always fast-paced, growing environment, I fear for Nintendo in some ways. Like, I know that they're kind of stepping away from the whole motion being the focus, because now you have the Switch. You can do different types of, gameplay. You could take the handheld mode and go outside. You can take your dog for a walk, or something like that, so to speak. For me personally, just me, if I'm gonna play a video game, if it's not on my DS, love my 3DS, it's amazing. If it's not on my DS, I'm probably gonna sit on my butt and play a video game.
Yeah.
That's just how I relieve stress. I don't want to go outside and like I've been outside all day working.
Yeah, you don't have to
come home to my little nest, and spend time with my wife, and then maybe watch TV and then play a video game. Like I want to play a video game, just immerse myself.
Yeah, but would you, not be able to do that on the Switch hypothetically?
I just don't want to.
All right, that's fair.
And you can't. You're not going to change my opinion because I think it's a great idea, for a certain market. But for me personally, I love my 4K television and I love my PS4, and I have a room where it's all set up in there, and I just go in there and I play video games, and I just kind of use it to take myself away from the outside world instead of Nintendo Switch bringing the game into the outside world.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, I play Pokemon on my 3DS. I've traded Pokemon with you, where if I had Super Smash Bros. For 3DS, I'd be out there probably battling people, at a mall, or that's really interesting. I think the 3DS is great for that. Mm-hmm. And I commend Nintendo for bringing that into a console. But for me personally, I'm not going to spend $300 on a console that has a capability that a device I have already has.
Yeah, and something you're not necessarily interested in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, see, that's kind of where I'm sitting. Because I have a 3DS, and it plays games fine. Clearly not as well as the proposed Switch does. However, I feel that if I want to play any of those games, like Breath of the Wild, which I plan to, get on that as well, I think that it's worth just getting the console and using it as a home console just instead.
So would you say that you kind of would be on the same page that I'm on with the whole console thing?
Not necessarily. I wish that they had made a home console, but I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna see how it feels as a hybrid console.
Right.
And I'm also gonna see how I feel about the Joy-Cons and the uses they make out of those. I like options when it comes to game consoles. One thing that got me is, for the PS4 specifically, just to show an example, I don't like the feel of the controller much. And that's a personal opinion. I know most people disagree with that. But I appreciate with this that at very least, they went through, in fact, here's a screenshot again of some of the, ways you can play. And I appreciate the fact that they consider different play methods. I like that. I might just enjoy playing with one of those more than, say, a Wii U gamepad or whatever they call the DualShock 4s. So
I think for me to have a really firm stance on it. I have to have the Joy-Cons separated in my hands to feel what they, can do. Because they look really small. I have small hands.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fine. But I'm interested to see how well received it'll be when you play a game that's multiplayer with just the one little pad.
See, I think that's important too, because they're gonna have to nail that, or else it'll be dead in the water.
They look really. I think especially with the since we're talking about hardware with the wrist strap attachment, it also looks really clean too.
It does
with those straps on there. I really like the tabletop method. I think it's really cool that you can just have a little screen there, and you can just be like, what if you're like in the kitchen or something, and you just want to cook lunch, but you really don't want to stop play video games. Maybe you can kind of just put it up there and kind of play sort of and like make lunch if you're making like a really easy meal or something like that. I think that's interesting. That'd be cool to experiment with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't know. That's, of course, first world problem. I'm going to get, the system, the hardware seems interesting. I think we're both in agreement of that.
Yeah. One thing I don't... Sorry for cutting you
No,
off.
by all means.
But the one thing I'm concerned about, and I don't know how they're going to... I think they stated briefly how they plan to combat it, but the game-to-game battery life.
Ooh, yeah. Well,
they stated something about battery packs, being able to charge the system on the go.
Yeah.
But they stated it was going to be 2.5 to 6 or 6.5 hours. 6.5 hours, depending on the game. So let's say with Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild,
probably 3.
It's probably 3. So if you're gonna be gone, say on an airplane trip to,
just anywhere.
This year? If you're gonna go on a plane trip to New Zealand, it's a 13-hour flight. Maybe hopefully at the airport you charged up some of those battery packs, man.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna need to use them.
Well, I mean,
for sure,
Also, it specifies that it comes with the AC adapter and you can charge while playing.
That's true. That's good. But on the go.
Yeah.
If you're continuously on the go for an extended period of time.
Well, you're not going to be able to.
Right. And one thing that makes me think of was people playing Pokemon Go on their phones all the time and sucking their battery life out. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just thinking what if that happened? You're in an important part of the game, and then suddenly your Nintendo Switch hybrid console dies, and you are that sad soul who forgot to save, man.
Hey, it happens, and that's kind of the nature of a handheld system,
right?
I mean, the same thing would happen on your cell phone. So I think the problem with that is just the nature of the product they're making, and that's something that you're gonna have to consider. Well, people that are buying it will have to consider. So I don't know. They showed off a few games. I'm going to go off that subject for a minute. They showed off a few games. Mario looked clean, looked fun. I don't know. Not much else to say.
It looked like Nintendo.
It looked like a Mario game, although a little weird. Mario up against real life people. Yeah, it was kind of...
That was a cool, interesting, obscure world to look at.
Yeah, I thought it was a joke.
When you first saw it.
Seeing Mario jump around like all Assassin's Creed and all. It was in New York, yeah. So that was a little off-putting.
Jump rope with people.
Yeah, it was weird. And then there were other games, Xenoblade 2, which looked a lot chibier and also a lot more Japanese. Nothing against that art style, but
and you're talking. I love Japanese-made games.
Yeah,
that style.
Yeah. And this is, if it's to be following, JRPG as well.
Yeah. JRPGs, shout out JRPGs. I love JRPGs, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I'm gonna be taking a look at that as time goes by. Fire Emblem, a new game was teased. Something by Sega that I could not care less about. A few things from Atlas.
You know what? I've never played Fire Emblem. I've never played Fire Emblem.
Then we can discuss that later.
I'm saying, you started talking about Fire Emblem. We're going to talk about Fire Emblem.
No, I was over Fire Emblem already. That's basically where I stand.
I think Fire Emblem should be dead.
Really?
Stop.
All right.
Stop making Fire Emblem, Nintendo. Why are you making Fire Emblem?
Because they actually sell really well. Like Fire Emblem
Is
Fates.
it like a continuation of the story, ongoing?
Not
Are
necessarily.
they like separate? Are they separate worlds?
No. They're in the same world, but they have just characters in the world that sometimes interact. But that aside, I didn't play the most recent, so I don't have many firm opinions on the matter. We can talk about that later if you guys care about to.
That's not necessarily what they care about. We're talking about it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we're not going to talk about it if you don't care.
I care, maybe.
Well, we'll talk about it then, but not right now. Let's see. What other games do they even show?
1-2 Switch.
Oh, that's actually something that's good. Thank you for actually watching this, Jared.
Come on, I watched it.
It's a fair amount of it.
The important parts.
Yeah. Yeah, 1-2 Switch, a designated game that comes with the system?
They did not state that it does.
Oh, yeah, it came out at the same time. Good point. Good point.
It's not going to be one of those, like when the Wii came out, you get Wii Sports.
I think it might, though.
It'd be good.
I think it will.
I think it'd be a good marketing strategy if they included it.
I think that it will.
Like, with the whole, even if it's just like a Nintendo Store free download.
Exactly.
That'd be nice.
I'm gonna bet that it will be. And that might just be hopeful.
I like the idea of 1-2 Switch because I love the Nintendo Party style games.
Yeah, that's an interesting look. I mean, they actually specified that it's more a game between people that's electronically aided.
Yeah.
And I think that's an interesting look and something that you couldn't really do well on another gaming thing.
Because this is something that Nintendo does really well.
Yeah, and they have done well in the past. We can hope they'll continue to do it well.
I think 1-2 Switch will be well received.
Probably.
Because it brings people together.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's like an extension of the player.
Mm-hmm.
You're just playing a game with your friends. And there just happens to be some Joy-Cons and a Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you guys want to play this game? Sure, let's go. Like I love when we would play, what is it, Nintendo Land?
Yeah, it's going to be...
love those games.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be like Nintendo Land.
Love those games. Nintendo Land games are great.
Yeah. They're fun. Anyway, there's, of course, Legend of Zelda, and we'll talk about that. I didn't really see any other games I cared much about. Splatoon 2, that came out. I played the first one. Okay.
I had no interest.
Yeah.
Again, I don't own a recent Nintendo console.
Yeah.
So I never played it. When I went over to your place to play, some games, I was never interested in playing Splatoon.
Yeah.
I just don't have the interest.
It's a very specific demographic they're going for. Primarily Japanese, frankly.
See, and the Nintendo Switch will do well in Japan.
No, that's
probably.
not a question. No, that's not a question. I'm sure it will.
And maybe
you can
that's
quote
good.
me.
Maybe that's good enough for Nintendo. There's tons of people in Japan.
It's true, but I think it'll do well here too. That comes into future predictions. Let's go to Zelda.
Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
It's a shame. It's a shame for me because I love Zelda. My wife has bought me so many Zelda products since I've known her, and I love Zelda. Like, I remember when Majora's Mask 3D came out, I was like, Mom, can I please have $45 or $50 for my birthday? Why do you want $45 or $50? Because I know what I want to buy it. Majora's Mask 3D.
Yeah.
I am a hardcore Zelda fan. But the thing that kills me is I'm not gonna go buy a console to play one game and then never touch it until I get that urge to play it again.
Yeah.
That's how I've been with Nintendo for the longest time. Which I guess kudos to Nintendo because I bought some consoles to play one game before. So there's that. But Breath of the Wild, I was really excited to see the new trailer because there were some plot elements in there. And there was some voice acting for Zelda. And also, first time ever for Zelda being... You said something about it when we were watching it. Something else first time for Zelda. You said something. I remember.
Man, I don't remember.
You don't remember? But
no.
There's a lot of first time things for Zelda. Like, I saw a character in that trailer, like, even cry. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I get attached to things like that when I see a game. Open world, nothing new.
No.
in the market.
Oh, wait. I do remember what I
It was
said.
open world.
No, it was jumping.
Jumping, right? Being able to control Link's ability to jump without going to a ledge or holding Z and doing a backflip or a side step.
Exactly. But looking at the game, I think it's going to be good. I'm going to play it anyway. Here's the thing.
Since Alex is going to play it, I could also have the opportunity to play it.
It's
so I'm
true.
banking on our friendship allowing me to play some Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
That way I don't have to worry about shelling out some cash to play one game.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think they're appealing in this, the Switch in general. I don't think they're appealing for the client or the crowd that just wants one game. I think they're really trying to bolster more games.
Well, they did a tip of the hat to that with Bethesda coming in.
Yeah. And other Japanese developers as well.
But the thing is with that, though, with Zelda and everything, and Bethesda coming in, like PS4 Sony just did a remaster for PS4, and now Switch is going to be bringing on Skyrim as well.
Yeah.
But for me, Skyrim's old news.
Well, of course. Came out in 2011.
When is Nintendo gonna bring a console to the table that is just top of the line technically, is right there when everyone else releases it, so they can compete with that?
Well, yeah.
Maybe they don't care.
Here, Zelda. Final thoughts. I think it's going to be good. We'll talk about that later.
Zelda's going to be good because...
Well, we can go back to that.
Zelda.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Zelda.
As far as Nintendo creating the best console...
They could.
But Nintendo is the only company that creates a profit margin for their game consoles. And frankly, for each product sold, they actually make more money per console than Xbox and Sony. And as far as the most powerful console, I mean, the PS3 was far more powerful than the Xbox 360 when it came out. The problem was the developers stuck to the 360 at the beginning of the life cycle because there were more people on it and it was easier to develop for.
Well, to be fair, I had a 360 before I had a PS3. I bought a PS3 near the end of its life.
Exactly, and most people did because they caught up. It caught up because they started.
That PS3 Slim was awesome.
Yeah,
and pushable buttons. I remember the
wow.
I remember the. Let's talk.
That's the future.
A whole different thing. Anyway, but you said something about Nintendo may have a profit margin, but those profits next to Sony's profits and Microsoft profits.
Actually, you should specifically state sales because that's where the problem is.
So it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen with the Switch.
Yeah, I mean, that's our next question. As far as the future of the Switch, what do you think will happen?
Honestly, I'm just going to lie. No, I'm kidding. I'm honestly still a little reserved.
Yeah.
But as a unit, like as an audience and as a demographic and as a product, I think it has some pretty solid potential.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're looking at this from third party.
I'm so third party.
Yeah.
On Nintendo. I used to be... My first console was an N64.
Yeah.
I loved my N64. But somewhere along the line, I fell out of love with Nintendo. Still deeply in love with Zelda as a franchise, but Nintendo, personally, I'm definitely third party.
Yeah.
So I would say...
well, and for one, you're probably, and this is a big
Sony and Microsoft
probably
for
not
me
going to get this.
Is Sony and Microsoft will, in my personal opinion, always beat out Nintendo. Every single time.
For games or
just overall sales, profits, games.
Well, yeah, that's important for a business, but what about you personally?
No, that is me personally.
Okay, so you think they personally are better at sales?
Okay, well, I don't think that's a question.
Okay.
Because when Nintendo comes in so late in the game, Sony and Microsoft are prepping up for the next big thing.
It's true.
Which does not play into Nintendo's favor when you're looking at a bigger picture, so to speak. So I think for the market that the Nintendo Switch is catering towards, it's going to do really well. But for an overall scope, like for me, like to get gamers like me to buy a Nintendo Switch, it's like I don't think all of the boxes are getting checked still.
No, probably not. And I imagine because, despite Nintendo's thoughts, people actually do care about what games look like and the friend modes and the online modes. And
like give my brother Austin, for example. He's a hardcore PC gamer. He loves interacting with his friends online, being able to play with them. So the Nintendo consoles in the past, for just on his behalf, I think he would agree with me in saying that it may not be a console for him, because he'd probably buy it, play a game, and then let it sit there and then be upset and regretted that he bought it because he doesn't have that money anymore. But that's my brother.
Yeah, well, so that is your brother.
Yeah.
But something else we didn't bring up, new online mode. It's going to be a paid subscription, like Xbox and PS4, which is new
that's
for
the
Nintendo.
Norm,
it's new. They have never done that before.
Well, maybe if it's going to be paid, maybe it's going to be really good.
That's the idea. I'm thinking that it'll increase their ability.
You know what?
To make
speaking
online
of
better.
online thing, making online experiences better. Like since we're talking about the future of the Nintendo Switch, what if Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft got together, the three big name companies in console development? It's kind of starting this kind of universal server for online gameplay, because you can do it easily between Sony and Microsoft, because it's like multiverse consoles. It's like multi-platform,
Multi-platform.
And some titles are multi-platform for Nintendo Switch. So what if you have a gamer who really likes Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed, blah, 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 those AAA titles, you know what I mean? And Sony and Microsoft has that too.
Yeah.
What if they're all paid subscriptions?
Yeah.
What if there is a universal server that you can go onto to play against people or with people on a Microsoft platform, a Sony platform, or a Nintendo platform? Maybe that would be a strategy Nintendo could use to get people to buy into the Nintendo Switch, so they could have more of those third-party games. It could be more of a unity kind of thing in the gaming community, as opposed to this console war that's always going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but people like console wars. They're always going to root for the one they're rooting for.
You got PC Master Race, consoles, whatever. Xbox buffs, Sony buffs. I personally am a Sony buff. I used to be a Microsoft buff back in the previous gen, but PS4 stole my heart. But I just think it would be cool, because what if people who have all three brands, hey, I want to play Nintendo Switch today. Now I can't play Nintendo Switch because I really want to play this game. Yeah. But it's only on PlayStation and, Xbox.
Yeah, but exclusives are things. They're
but
things
not
for reasons.
all great exclusive have great multiplayer.
That's true.
Like Uncharted.
Yeah.
Multiplayer is underrated. It's good, but it's not out there.
Yeah.
Like, it's not very competitive. And it doesn't have to be competitive to be good. That's not what I'm saying. It's just exclusive titles don't always have great multiplayer.
No, and I wouldn't expect them to. In fact, most exclusives tend to arc more on the single player, Halo excluded. But
that was a gem. That was something else.
Of course. But I don't know. I feel like the Nintendo Switch is not necessarily going to live or die on their online presence.
But it's something that they could try.
I think it'd be good. And of course they are with this paid subscription. But I guess it's going to come down to...
Which they haven't talked a whole lot about.
No.
Which is interesting. So I'm interested to see what that's going to be like.
Yeah. I think it will.
You know what? One thing I feel is kind of sort of not that great.
Yeah, cool.
As a thing. The whole Mii platform doohickey, you know what I mean? I like the Miis as a concept, but like the Nintendo Switch, like if there's a freaking Mii thing on the Nintendo Switch, it better be really good.
Well, here's the thing. The Mii's were the beginning of the avatars, which have actually done pretty well or Microsoft as well.
Those Microsoft avatars are good.
Yeah. So I feel like
Totally
they're...
stole that.
Oh, not a question. I'm pretty sure they're going to keep with the Mii's. I think they're going to make them more customizable.
See, that's what I think needs to happen. What if they could have like a photorealism aspect
Ooh, I
of
would
taking a better image and then trying to project that into a Mii character, like not the crappy version that they used to use.
Yeah.
Like I remember doing a Mii creation off of a photo. And I was like, what the hell is that? Like, it doesn't even look like me.
Yeah, vaguely offensive.
Vaguely, yes. Thank you for saying that, Alex. It's vaguely offensive because it looked like garbage.
Well,
And I would
anyway,
like to think it don't look like garbage. So make the Mii's even better, Nintendo. That's what I think the future of Mii's should be, better.
yeah. I don't think the Switch will live or die on their Mii's either.
Well, I don't think we're necessarily talking about Nintendo Switch living or dying,
Well,
so to speak, are we?
I think we are, as far as the success goes, because I think it's reasonable to presume that the Wii U was a dead console out of the gate. And I think if they follow the same things with the Switch, which, note, I don't think they are, but if
Kobe
they do...
Did learned.
Exactly. I presume that they have changed, but we'll see. It just comes down to how Nintendo goes about this. And the fact that they didn't release this information until 2 months before it's being released in stores
That's ballsy.
is a bold move, and I'm not sure that's necessarily a good move.
Because it was Nintendo NX for so long, in the previous year.
Yeah, up until October.
Yeah, I remember there were some things that were confirmed. It does have a mobile capability.
Yeah.
There was some talk about like a phone thing, which is total garbage.
Oh, an N-Gage.
An N-Gage, something like that. But I honestly, here's my final say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, final thoughts.
Nintendo is a great company.
Cool.
I love some of their games.
Uh-huh.
And I think what's going to do it for me is I hope that when I play and experience the console when you have one, I hope it's a great experience. And I hope everyone else feels the same way, because I think Nintendo is really trying to kind of be that phoenix that raises itself from the ashes.
Yeah.
Because you're right with the Wii U, it kind of burned and died fast. So that's what I have to say about it. I hope it does well, and I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on it once you get one, Alex. And
Exactly.
that's basically what it's gonna be. Alex is gonna buy one. Hey, Jared, you want to come play? Yeah, I'll come over and play.
Yeah, sounds good. My final thoughts, I think the Switch is going to do well. No, not Wii level well, because people are still, not necessarily, they're a little reserved. But I think that it's going to sell fairly well. I hope Nintendo has learned their lesson on the third-party developers, which I want to say it looks like it, but I'm going to hold out until at least 1 year into the development.
Seeing that Bethesda representative,
Yeah, it's good. It is
a good step, and I hopefully believe to be a right direction.
Yeah, and I hope so too. Will I like it? Maybe. And here's the thing. One last one. I know you're not going to get it, so I'm not even going to ask you, but I'm going to be going for the black one. No, none of this blue and red thing. That's not my style.
What if I surprise you and everyone who would potentially watch this? What if I bought one?
I'd be surprised, but I presume it'd be after you play mine.
Man, he knows me so well.
Yeah.
Hit the head on the nail right there. But
Cool.
I would buy the colored one. That's just fun for me.
Yeah.
I wish it was... I do like symmetry. I
Yeah.
wish it was a blue and a blue and a red and a red.
And there's...
You can make it happen, but not right out of the box.
Yeah.
So far.
I imagine they'll be able to sell individual ones.
You know what? I think
hope.
the Nintendo Switch, I'm recently married. My wife is slowly starting to enjoy certain types of video games more. So if I bought a Switch,
She's doing a shrug face.
maybe she and I could play that together and it'd be really fun. Maybe we could create some really good memories from playing a Nintendo Switch together. I don't know.
Well, here's the
that's
thing.
an incentive.
I'm pretty sure your wife would enjoy the Nintendo Switch more than the PS4.
Yeah.
And that's just
true.
in general.
That's true.
Yeah. So
it's just more interactive, you know?
Yeah, and it's for different people. And I think that that's something that might help out with the Nintendo in the future.
Yeah.
And I think with that, unless you have any final thoughts.
I think with that, my cup of tea is officially empty.
Yeah, mine is too. Mine left at around minute 32.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good tea.
Yeah.
And we'll hope that the Nintendo Switch will just keep it in our thoughts that the Nintendo Switch is also as good.
Keep it in our thoughts that it is good.
No. Whatever.
No, we're laughing with you, Jared. Anyway.
No, please laugh at me.
Thank you, everyone. If you stood it this long, it's kind of just a chill talk time. If you guys like this, comment what you guys think.
We would love to hear
Switch.
What everyone else thinks out there, because everybody has opinions, and this is a place where you can voice his opinions.
Yeah, this is a safe place. A safe place in the comments. Don't trust us. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, Bunchley. All right. This is Tea Time with Alex.
And Jared.
And we'll see you later.
Bye.
Gross. That's making it in there somehow.